There's a whole bunch of people.
Jeff Hall.
Morning, Robin.
Morning. Did you want me to unmute my microphone?
Yeah, we're for today. We can turn on microphones and cameras. There's not going to be a PowerPoint this morning. This is going to be kind of quick.
Okay.
We're going to just overview and get ready for the written final and answer any questions that anybody has. How are you? How have you been doing?
Doing okay. Not looking forward to it, but I am in a way. I need to get this over with, and I'm kind of behind on a couple of my homework, and I'll plan to get it done within the next day or two.
Well,
I got your email the other day saying giving us a little extra time. Thank you.
The final on the surface is going to sound really, really scary, and it's not. And so we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. As you were, it shouldn't be. It's still final.
You're the pro. You're talking to the students.
Well, I'm gonna give you the main. I'm gonna give you the main hint.
Thank you.
Because even academically, I just care that you know where to get the information that you need, and that's what's more important to me. I certainly recognize that I've been doing this for 30 years, and so there are things I take for granted that I forget that sometimes there are struggles that to develop a skill or something, it takes a long, long time.
Very true, especially when we didn't meet in person in class and kind of one-on-one or as a class conversation, practical application usage. It helps tremendous to me. I'm only speaking about me. So that's kind of a barrier for me. That's one of the reasons I try not to take a lot of online classes.
Sure.
So I'm going to do my best.
That's all any of us can do.
Thank you.
I've got 10:30, but we'll stand by just a couple more minutes.
For some reason, I thought it's at 10 o'clock, and I didn't see the time on the email. I know the last one was at 10:30, so I logged in at 10. Then I said,
you've been here for a while.
No, I logged out. I logged in at 10, and then I logged out. And then I just logged in about 5 minutes ago and just went to the restroom, just came back.
Well, early bird gets the worm, you know. You can quote me on that. maybe just another minute,
Okay.
and we'll dive in. Or we can just sit here and stare awkwardly at each other. Or not. I know of a few folks that aren't able to make it on this morning. Okay, the rest of you, assuming that you're all there, you can turn your cameras on, and if you would unmute your microphone, then we can make this a little more of a chat than me just doing a lecture. So this is all I wanted to cover for today. Okay, we're at the end of the semester this week. So if we were back, if we were in person at CAMI, today is the official last day of instruction. Tomorrow would be a reading day. And then Wednesday is when the final written exam officially begins. And so I guess I should mention, for those of you that have, other classes, English class, a math class, you probably receive instructions from your instructors about finals and what and when and how and all of that. The school, the whole UAPTC community will be administering finals according to the final schedule that is probably in your course syllabus, the syllabi from all of the courses that you're in. Or I got to sneeze. Oh, isn't that terrible? And then it lingers for a long time when it doesn't come out. So our instructions are to follow the final schedule. Although at CAMI, I guess, to put it bluntly, we always do things maybe a little bit different. And none of the culinary, if you've never taken, this is your first semester, we don't generally follow that final schedule that's in the course catalog or that's kind of mandated from the university. And most of that is because, well, other technical and trade programs don't either, as our course scheduling is a little bit different, 6-hour labs and such as that. So with that said, let me just talk about our written final and what it's going to look like and feel like. And it is a final. There's not a there's not going to be a final this semester. No, there's still a final.
Dang it.
The final works out to be 200 points, which is roughly a little bit more than 10% of the grade for this semester. And you have between, it goes active at noon today, and it remains active until 11:59 or midnight next Monday. So you have, at your leisure, you have all this week from today till next Monday at midnight, 11:59, May 11th. The final shuts off. If you're in the middle of taking it, if you wait all the way till 11:58, Monday night the 11th, and you start the final, you missed the train. You got on, and in 2 minutes it's going to throw you off. So it will stop. It will time out. No chance for retake or anything like that come 11:59 Monday the 11th. So you can take it whenever you feel ready, comfortable, or you just got to get it done. Okay. It's a total of 85 questions. 84 of those questions are from a random, from a pool of questions. Almost 200 questions in the pool, and it's gonna pull at random. When you log in, you get 84 questions that come from the pool, and one question is static for all of Food 1. And that question will be a recipe. You will be asked to scale a recipe. I'll tell you this in advance because you'll need to kind of plan and prepare for this. That recipe has 16 ingredients. Several of those ingredients, the amount, the number that you're scaling, you're not having to scale all 16 ingredients. There are answers. You have to fill in all 16 ingredients, but obviously the first time you scale 1 teaspoon, you've scaled that number 1. And so when you see 1 tablespoon, when you see 1 each, when you see another, you see 1 teaspoon, you see, it's the number 1 that you're scaling. When you've done it once, assuming you got it right, you already have that answer. That is fill in the blank a type of a question. And so the scaling, I don't give you a multiple choice. I don't give you a set of possible answers. Just like we've done in class during the first half of the semester, you just do it and hope that the numbers are right. Especially on that question, I'll have to go back and review everyone's exam once it's submitted, because sometimes we have difficulty following directions. This is something you pay very close attention to the directions in that question, exactly the directions in that question. Okay. If you're good students like Amanda over here taking some notes, okay, take these notes down. This is the main thing I'm getting at on that particular question. Okay. I'm spending time on this question because that one question is worth 32 points of the whole 200. Okay. Everything is 2 points apiece. So 16 items to scale on a recipe, it's 32 points from one question. You need to enter the number on that question to round to the nearest 10th place. So if an answer after you scale this and an answer is 8, how are you going to enter that? Are you going to enter that 8? If it's scaled to the nearest 10th place, you'll enter what? Bueller 8.0, right? That's what I'm getting at. So you're going to, if it's, your answer on the calculator comes to 4.3267, 4.3, right? If it's 4.3652, that's going to be 4.4.
Jeff Hall, can I ask a question?
Please, yes.
So I'm kind of confused. Basically, you're asking to bring it to the next decimal point. 8.1, 8.2.
The 10th place. Yes. So one decimal point.
Okay, got it.
Which is not necessarily the next. It's just everything needs to be entered in whole number, point,
Something.
10th place, one other number.
Good. Thank you.
If all you get is whole number, then you should enter it as 8.0, 11.0, 160. So that's that. Okay. The other 84 questions, you may have one short answer, not like an essay. You'll put in 2 or 3 or 4 words, but for the most part, there's only one question like that in the whole pool. So maybe you get this short answer, maybe you don't. All the rest are multiple choice, true, false, and maybe some matching. But the bulk of this is going to be multiple choice or multiple guess and true, false. It is open book. It's open notes. It's open prayer. It is. I want to make it as smooth as possible, but it's still a final. Because it is a final exam, here's the real hard part of the exam. It is timed, just like the weekly quizzes. You have 90 minutes. So you have an hour and a half. And you have one single attempt. Unlike the weekly quizzes, where you have, a second attempt. If you didn't do very well on the quiz, you can take the quiz again. This is a one-shot deal as a final. And you can use all the resources that you have at your disposal. Use the internet, whatever. But it's only 90 minutes. Okay. So go ahead, Robin.
I'm sorry. So when you said that we got almost a week to do it, so if I start the exam and I want to stop in 30 minutes, it won't let me?
No.
Once you start, you had to finish it in 90 minutes.
Yes, sir.
It won't save and all that.
It won't save.
Okay.
It's called in the rules in Blackboard. It's called it's forced completion. Once you log in, once you hit start, the clock starts, and you run for 90 minutes. If you get out of the exam, it submits whatever you've done. You can't get back in it. Okay. And if you're still in the exam and the clock runs out at 90 minutes, and you still have a handful of questions, or 1 or 2 or 12 or 81 questions still left to go, it submits whatever you've done at 90 minutes.
Okay.
Now listen to Chef. Chef is wise. Chef is helpful. That pool of questions comes from your weekly quizzes. Word for word. Every word, word for word. You have more than 84 questions when we combine all the quizzes. Now, there could be a hiccup for one or two or a few of you. If you have not done a weekly quiz, you cannot go back to those weeks and get the quiz. Okay? But if you have done the quizzes in your grade book, if you go to your grade book where you see I made 17 out of 20 on this quiz, if you click on the quiz, it's either clicking on the quiz or clicking on your grade, the quiz pops up. Now, I have it set when you go back to see your previous quizzes, I have it set so that you only see the answers that you gave. And if it's wrong, that review tells you that that answer was wrong. Okay, so it's not just seeing the blank quiz all over again. You're only seeing the question and the answers that you gave. Obviously, if you gave a correct answer, good on you. If you gave an incorrect answer, I don't give you all the other answers and I tell you which one was incorrect. That can be part of your preparation. I encourage you to go back to the textbook and why did I miss XYZ question, blah, blah, blah. Some of you may have already done that. That's been available all semester long. But if you did not know that feature, you are able to go back right now. You're able to go back and see all of the quizzes that you submitted, that you completed. If you didn't do a quiz, you're out of luck. The quizzes, I think I sent out an announcement. The quizzes from week 8 or week 9 on, I turned the due dates off. So everything related to this pandemic and us moving to entirely online instruction, I took due dates off. I made it a lot more flexible, but the same requirements are still there. You've got ample time with an entire week to go back and retake or submit one of these quizzes. It's either week 8 or week 9 on. There's not a whole lot of quizzes. Week 11, maybe. I think one of the weeks there's not a quiz. And it's because of the work that we were doing the following week. Anyway, it may be week 11. And I think, Miles, I think you sent me an email asking that very question. And I believe that's correct. Week 11, I think, is the one for Food Production 1 that there is no quiz. Let all that I just said soak in a little bit, and let me open up for other questions. Who's confused, or not confused, but just has a question?
Chef Hall, I have a question.
Please, Amanda.
Okay, so for the practical exam, is that due by the end of today, or is there like a certain time that it'll close by?
Everything is due by 11:59 Monday, May 11th. So if you still have a quiz or key terms from the previous whatever that is, 6 or 7 weeks, you've got time to knock those out. Practical exam, you've got time still to knock that out. If you still need to work on the written oral presentation, you've got time to put that together. that gets submitted in the folder that says oral presentation. Okay. You'll just upload, like uploading other assignments. You'll just open up that assignment and click browse your computer.
Okay.
And
Perfect. Thank you.
The things that had due dates prior to us moving to online, prior to COVID-19, I feel like it's appropriate to leave those due dates and everything as they were. There was no, and I think I've been pretty clear from the beginning of the semester, if you do it, you did it. If you didn't do it, you didn't do it. Everybody's grown-ups. And so that's that. When this happened and the University of Arkansas system closed campuses and we migrated to online education, I certainly recognize that causes, in and of itself, that causes a lot of upheaval and uncertainty and stress. And then then there's, personal situations and family situations, and there's job loss, and there's, in some cases, you have classmates with restaurants closing their dining rooms left and right. You've got classmates that have been putting in overtime on top of overtime on top of overtime in doing delivery and, all of that kind of stuff. And so I wanted to make this still a learning environment, but kind of as flexible as possible. So I turned all of those due dates off. I have to submit grades on Tuesday. And so everything is due before midnight, May 11th. One or two of you, a couple of you, I have communicated with via email or text, one-on-one, about certain issues or conditions, whatever you and I may have discussed in that format, accommodating a particular request or situation or issue, that still applies. And I'll leave that as it is, because that's a little bit different for everybody, for a few of you. So there you go.
Chef Hall, can I ask?
Please, Robin.
Do you mind? I either missed it or I forgot to go back and review the tape. This might be the time that I wasn't available to join you. This is in regard to the oral presentation. Could you give me a quick recap, if you don't mind?
So it's basically now a 2+ page paper. We have not covered in this class. I mean, some would just say it's just culinary school and we're a bunch of dumb chefs and blah, blah, blah. We've not talked about APA style and MLA style. And so I'm not going to hold anybody's feet to the fire in that regard. But plagiarism is a no-no. If you use someone else's words, those words need to be in quotations and cited. Some of you were in high school yesterday, and Robin, some of us weren't in high school yesterday. It's been a minute or two. And even in college, it might have been a minute or two since we've been in college. I want some kind of reasonable footnote or end note that says, I want you to acknowledge if you are using someone else's words. Okay. And I don't want you to just change a word or two of a direct quote and call that yours. Okay. But this paper is just like the oral presentation was going to be, something on a topic of culinary relevance. If you want to write a paper about chocolate, where it's from, how it was founded, the history of it, you want to write a paper about coffee, you want to write a paper about a distillation of spirits, you want to write a paper about what is so Italian about Italian food. You want to write a paper about an important figure, Julia Child, Emeril Lagasse. You want to write a paper about the history of food television, or the evolution of it. You want to focus on one particular dish. Hey, I want to break down Cioppino. I want to talk about chicken wings, because I like going to the chicken wings restaurant. And 2 full pages, if you choose endnotes, that should be on a 3rd or 4th page, and just the title, not a great big header that says your name and my name and the course, and where you take up 7 of the 8 inches of paper, standard 1-inch margins, 12-point font, no more than double space, 2+ pages. I think for me, the way my brain works, the hardest part would be the topic, because there is a whole world of things. And I like chocolate, and I'm going to start looking into chocolate, and I see some picture or some website on the Google that is caramel chocolate. Then I want to change to caramel, and then that leads me to change to caramel apples, and then I want to talk about apples, and then it's a never-ending abyss of culinary topics. Choose one, roll with that. The interwebs is our friend. I'll leave the Comp 1 and Comp 2 and your requirements to visit the library, whether virtually or in person. You can't do it in person right now. And the proper formatting with the commas in the right place and the periods in the right place, and this part italicized. If you know that, do that. But there are many different styles. In the work that I do as a student at Illinois, I have to do everything in APA style. So if you send something in MLA style, it's going to look funny to me, and this is not English class. I will take maybe a few points, not maybe, I will take a few points off if the language of your writing is from the Twitterverse. If you're writing in social media shorthand, this is still an academic paper. So your OMG, your LOL, leave that to this device, and be a little bit academic in this academic assignment. Does that answer everything, Robin?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Too much detail?
No, more details better, especially squeeze for time.
As other questions arise this week, I mean, this is our last class session. This is our last time together. We won't meet again next week. And so as you prepare for the final, now, if you have specific technical issues, obviously communicate with me and we'll address them accordingly. Okay. I'll leave that like it is.
Thank you.
I don't think I have anything else if there are no other questions. Go back to your previous quizzes. Maybe even print them out or something like that. since this is a open book, open notes, and open prayer exam, because I'm not trying to throw whammies at anybody. If you have done, maybe it's kind of a reward, I guess. If you have all the quizzes in the previous weeks, if you've done all the previous quizzes, then you have all of the final exam, with the exception of the one recipe that you will scale. And that is a matter of, I remember those equations. And that's not in any quiz. You may have to go back to the notes from week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, when we did all that scaling of a recipe. A couple of those formulas we did over and over and over again. And we've missed that for the last few weeks, several weeks. But there you go. That's all I have to say about that.
Chef Paul, I have one last question.
Please.
When you do the scaling, I remember at class, sometime I went down only to, let's say, for example, instead of grams, pounds, depending on, if I'm making for 300 people, I round it up to pound. I think if I remember correctly, at one point you said, no, you want to take it down all the way to the lowest level. Is that unacceptable the way I did it, or you want me to go all the way to the lowest level possible?
So I'm hopefully I'm going to make you smile, because I've made this question much easier than that.
Okay.
Of that 3-step process that we kind of beat up in class on scaling recipes, you really, let me think, you really only have to focus on one. You are not converting fluid ounces to cups. You're not converting teaspoons to tablespoons. There's no conversion. You are only converting the number.
Number of people times the recipe.
Yeah, you have to determine your recipe conversion factor,
right?
and you use that recipe conversion factor to scale the size of each individual ingredient. The scaling assignment on the exam is small enough that there is not a need at all to do the 3rd step. You're not going to change cups to gallons. It's smaller numbers than we've done in class. And so that fill in the blank section, all you'll fill in is the number. So I want to make sure that you still remember and can still do those first two steps, because the 3rd step is it can be a little bit subjective. Just like you asked, Robin, am I scaling from grams to cups to pounds, to kilos to so I'm leaving that confusion out of it, and it's a much more simplified assignment. If you know the recipe conversion factor, how to find it, and you can properly use the recipe conversion factor, you have no issues at all with the 16 ingredient items. With each one of those 16 ingredient items, that's it comes to 100 answers that you're gonna fill in 200 points. So 32 of that is all one question.
Thank you.
What else? What else, my peoples? I will upload this this video. I've recorded it. I will upload this into Blackboard. I'm not going to convert it. I'm not going to close caption it because it's not going to be needed. So I'll include this in the week 15 folder in Blackboard, which is also the location where you're going to find the written final. When you click on the link in Blackboard to start the final, you'll go to a page that gives you some reminders and some instructions. Those are pretty static instructions in Blackboard. We don't change those. So you're going to see you've got 90 minutes. Oh, one last thing I failed to mention. This is probably the most challenging part of the final. Glad I thought of this so you don't get a big surprise. So the way I had built the quizzes, you're able to see the entire quiz, and you can scroll up and down and you can go back and forth, and I can answer this question and then I can skip this one and skip that one, and that will not be the case for this written final. On the screen, you'll see one question at a time. And when you answer that question, it will forward you to the next question. You cannot backspace or backtrack. There's not going to be previous button. And so you are constantly moving forward. And so you need to know that it's 85 questions. You need to know that one of those questions is the recipe that you'll scale. For some of you, that will be question number 1. For some of you, that'll be question number 85. For some of you, that'll be question number 23 or 39. That 16 answer question is going to be in the mix somewhere that's randomized, but everyone gets that question. And so
it's not the 84th question then?
it is not.
Okay, I got you.
It's one of the 85 questions that you're gonna have.
Okay.
And it may be the first or second. It may be the last. My intention was to make that the last question for everybody, and I either have to build exactly the same exam for everyone and not do a randomized thing, which I personally like a whole lot better. It's just kind of my style. Or do it like this, and that question's going to appear somewhere. So that's how it is. It'll be all random, and it'll appear somewhere.
It'll be helpful if we can get that the last, so at least we know I've done all these. Now I can spend more time trying to think through, because that's got 16 points.
Yep.
No, so it's worth
32 points.
32
Yes.
extra time on the 16 question, but I understand.
That was my intention. Blackboard is not as clean and easy to work with as we would like, and so it's either all random or none of it's random. And I like the randomness for a whole variety of reasons, and so it's got to be that way. But it's, think back, especially since you're not scaling that third step. You're not trying to figure out, okay, are cups supposed to be gallons? Are the gallons supposed to be liters? Are the quarts supposed to be tablespoons? What is this supposed to be? that is not part of the exam. It is simply, if you know this equation,
Times.
comfortable with the equation times each of the ingredients, it's you know, how fast do your fingers work on your phone or calculator. Your recipe conversion factor you figure once. I'd write that down on a little post-it note or a little scratch paper off on the side so I don't forget it and mess stuff up. And then, okay, that number times that ingredient. All right, there's my number. Scale it, blah, blah, point, blah. Scale it to the nearest 10th place. And that question shouldn't take a minute, 2 minutes, maybe 3.
Right. No, the only reason I asked, you said that you can go backwards. So that kind of go a little bit, but it's okay. I'll figure it out somehow.
Typically, in best case scenario, if we were face to face, you would have to take this written exam during class time at CAMI in the computer lab, and it's proctored. Then you know, there's the backspace, and you can see the whole exam and all of that. This isn't proctored. You're, you know, in the comfort of your own home, and I have to put some kind of educational controls that tests whether or not you get the subject or you fairly quickly know where to get the answer. And that's what we're doing. If you don't like it, you know, I'm supposed to announce that course evaluations are still open. I think they're open through Monday next week, or maybe Friday of this week. You know, now's probably the wrong time for me to bring this up because some of you are probably, oh, chef is afraid to fire 50. And so you're going to take it all out on the course evaluation. And, you know, if all of you hate me, then I'll lose my job. And no, it's not all like that.
I've already done mine.
Evaluations. Do what?
I've already finished my evaluation.
You already finished yours?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I don't care if I upset you or anything. No, that's not.
No, it's not upsetting, Chef Hall. It was just the circumstances we are in. I mean, most of us are adults. I mean, I'm probably oldest of the whole group. This is, for me, my knowledge. It really doesn't matter to me whether I, you know, try to do something unethical.
Sure. Sure.
I'm the one who get the worst end of the stick at the end of the day. Nobody else. So that's the reason I was kind of asking to give the last at that question, since you already limit going back and forward. So like if it's a multiple choice in my old days, I have a paper sitting in front of me. I can quickly answer everything I know. Then I'll go back and take my time. Okay, I need to do 2, 5, 6. That flexibility was there. So it was proctored, agree. That's the only reason I asked, but don't take this any further. I'll do what's there. Thank you.
I'll tell you what, because maybe not all of you have done the course evaluations yet, and I need good scores from my people. You will still see one question at a time, but as soon as we end this, there's still 45 minutes before the exam goes active. I will open up, I'll uncheck the box. I'll allow backtracking. So you'll be able to go backwards. You can go back. It'll be a little cumbersome because you will only see one question at a time on the screen. You won't see the whole exam to, you know, scroll up and back. So if because I think probably, Robin, there's more than you. Everybody sees the chat, so
Yeah, I just
Miles can could benefit from that. Others could benefit from that as well. And there you go.
that'll help because you know I'm not computer savvy like most youngsters. That shouldn't
Sure,
be
sure.
for me, but it'll help.
Okay, I can do that before the exam goes live.
Thank you, sir. Thank
What else? Any other burning questions? Look for, this is just my final little comment. I received permission from the university to include this semester in the research that I'm doing for my doctoral dissertation. And so it will be very helpful and beneficial to me and maybe the future of culinary education, larger, broader culinary education worldwide. As some of you know, and some of you may not, the focus of my research is and will continue to be online culinary arts education. And generally that's a voluntary issue, just like most of your other courses. I need to take English face-to-face. I would need to take math in person, face-to-face. I probably wouldn't do very well in a math class in this environment. However, everyone has been forced into online education right now. And so in fact, I got a call during this. I'll call him back. I've asked Chef Gold, our dean, for his permission to send a survey. I built a survey for my research to send that link to all of my students. But I've also asked to send that to all of your classmates, all of Cami. And so if he gives his permission, I have permission for this class for Food Production 1. And so I know you may be getting surveyed out. There's course evaluations. There was some other survey that's still active.
About COVID-19, I think they asked question about the COVID-19.
This survey is 30 questions, and obviously there's a lot of, you know, one question maybe rate this thing according to your preferences, and there may be 8 or 10 of those. Takes about 15 minutes. There are places to leave a narration, leave some comments or not. It is purely voluntary. It is completely anonymous. There is nowhere in there that you leave any kind of very specific identifying information. There's a demographic section at the end, but still it's broad enough that there's no way that you are individually identified. And so it would be very helpful if you take that link and use it and complete this survey, if you would. Doesn't affect your grade, doesn't affect anything. I can't legally, because I said I wouldn't. I can't give you extra credit or bonus points. I can't give any kind of prize or reward that would appear in any way to bias the data collected. I'm not trying to buy anybody's favor or anything like that. This has zero to do with me as an instructor. It's nothing to do with that. Although there are a few questions regarding instructors. I leave it kind of broad that way. You know, interaction with classmates, interaction with your instructor, ability to get questions and questions answered, concerns resolved, et cetera, that all are aspects of this this environment. So when you see that link, I'm going to send it in a announcement to the class. I'll send it in an email that you will receive in your student email account. And if Chef Gold approves of this, then you may get an email from Taylor. You've probably received several emails, especially this semester, communication from the culinary school from Taylor about this and about that. And we're looking for people for Chef's Ball and looking for da-da-da-da-da. She may send this out. Robin, did you have a question?
No, I was just
I thought I saw the wheels turning and.
No, sir, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be happy to.
Thank you. I hope this has certainly been a semester that we will all not soon forget. I've enjoyed this class. I've enjoyed each of you. I look forward to seeing you in the fall. I look forward to seeing you in the fall in person, face to face. If you have not yet registered, come on, giddy up. We fully expect face-to-face, in-person classes back to normal this fall. And so if you have issues during the week, let me know. We'll deal with those as we deal with them. Everybody have a good, fun, relaxing, healthy, safe summer, and see you all in the fall.
Thank you, Chef Hall. And I just want to say thank you again. I think I enjoyed the class, and I think you treated the older folks like me very well. Accepted, we kind of matured a little bit more than others and learned a bit more experience. But for me, tremendously, I enjoy the class, and I thank you again from my heart. It is very well worth of my time.
Thank you.
And thank you, sir.
Thank you for those kind words. We can log out, and I'll hang out if anybody. I know, Jackie, just, this is the way to end the semester, and not just the semester, you graduate. And so what a way to end, your whole degree program. But I'm sure you'll receive invitations to come back to CAMI and participate in things and visit, and we certainly hope to see you. Amanda, thank you. You too. Bye-bye, everybody.